Delayed childbearing and fewer pregnancies raise the risk of lifetime development of breast cancer. And breast cancer has become a scourge, as you may know. You probably know somebody who has breast cancer. And we've got 100 times more breast cancer now than we had in the past, in our ancestors' years. There's more reasons for it. We don't have time tonight for, but I'm happy to talk about that. It's in the book, by the way. You can see that in the book. A woman who has her first child, now hear this, a woman who has her first child around the age of 20 has half the chance, because it's half the chance. So the ones that have them around the age 20 has half the chance of developing breast cancer as a woman who has her first child around the age of 30. Breast cancer became the number one cancer diagnosis at the end of 2020. Another reason not to like 2020, and overcame lung cancer. And remember, only 1% of people who get breast cancer are males. So it's 99% of them are females. One last thing on this. Women with 10 or more lifetime sexual partners. So that's 10 or more lifetime sexual partners. Recent research, and this is UK research, by the way, have a 91% higher risk of developing cancer. So 10 or more lifetime sexual partners. Males have an increased cancer risk as well if they have lots of sexual partners, but it's not nearly that. It's like half that. Hookup effects on females, 78% of women regret them. Women are more depressed afterwards. They have lower self-esteem. They have higher general distress. And many of them want it to turn into a relationship. And so, again, that's probably the last way that you actually, as a woman, want to try to create a relationship is hooking up with a guy. Last thing here, hormonal birth control and its effects. Can really have some bad effects. One is that it can make a woman attracted to a genetically unsuited man, because what it does is it makes women think that they're pregnant or in their luteal phase, which is the second half, when they're not sexually motivated and that type of thing, when they're not attracted to more masculine men, it puts them into that state permanently. And so they end up marrying somebody who totally maybe isn't attractive necessarily to them, or wouldn't be if they weren't on birth control. Somebody that's going to make a good dad and maybe physically doesn't have a real great genetics, but they're great guys. They would be a great husband, great dad, and all the loyalty, all the good qualities that way. The bad thing is that if this couple is on birth control, hormonal birth control, in order to keep a pregnancy from happening, and then they get married, and then she goes off birth control, oftentimes she's no longer attracted to her now husband because he's genetically not suited to her. He's more like a relative or her, a close relative would be to her as far as the way she feels about him. So that's a bad situation. And then this is really a nice study that was done in Denmark. It's been kept quiet, but hormonal birth control, especially the types that aren't oral, like the patch, IUD, vaginal ring, they have a tremendous effect as far as raising depression levels on females, and particularly the young ones, age 15 to 19. And I say tremendous, meaning that in the hundreds of percent, 100% greater chances of being depressed, the ones that are on them. The reason I say it was a great study is that they used, the sample size is over a million Danish women. They followed them for, 15 years or something like that. So pretty hard to argue with that as far as it being, applicable to the whole population. Hormonal birth control dampens sex drive. That's bad if you're trying to get pregnant, and just generally within a married relationship. You combine that with antidepressants, and it's really bad. Antidepressants plus hormonal birth control is really destroys most women's sex drive. And so the combination is really bad. The other thing that they covered up in the trials of it was it raises blood clot and cancer risk substantially in different types of cancer, but blood clot risk was really high. And then again, they covered that over in the trials. So that is what women need to know, both about men and about themselves.
Over 36,000 downloads of the Sex, Porn, Love Addiction podcast in just 2 years. You're missing out. Take a look.